Something profound is unraveling right in front of us. Just yesterday, a national security breach sent shockwaves through this country as we watch senior officials from the Trump administration share sensitive war plans over Signal, a platform meant for secure communication. But in an even more astonishing lapse, they accidentally included a journalist from The Atlantic in the chat. I know everyone has probably heard this story, but bear with me, okay? So in this Signal group, they discuss this upcoming strike on Yemen, and they laid out exact timing, targets, strategy, as casual as if they were arranging a dinner party. This isn't just a political gaffe or a technological failure. This is a clear and dangerous symptom of an outdated leadership paradigm, one that is reactive, it's ego-driven, and it's deeply disconnected from the complexity and the consequences of the system that it claims to lead. What we're witnessing isn't just this breach of protocol, it's a breach of consciousness. So at face value, the Signal incident, it looks like a technical or procedural failure. The wrong person was just added to the chat. But the real breakdown runs much deeper because this isn't just about protocol. It's about a state of awareness, the mindset and the values that shape the decisions leading up to this. So here's what I mean by this. Consciousness shapes leadership. Right? Leadership is not just about strategy and execution. It's about the quality of awareness a leader brings in every moment. Conscious leaders are aware of the impact and the context. Unconscious leaders, they operate from habit and ego and fear. So this breach shows us what happens when decisions are not made or when decisions are made from a disconnected consciousness, one that doesn't perceive the stakes, the system, or even the sacredness of the role. The other thing is this incident didn't really happen because someone was careless. It happened because someone was unaware, acting out of a default mode of leadership that prioritizes speed and familiarity and control over reflection, precision, and care. So it's a sign of how far we have drifted from this idea of conscious, deliberate leadership, leadership that pauses, that can self-check, and take responsibility for its reach. Did you see the presser that happened afterwards? The person at the highest level claimed that they had no knowledge that this had happened. They had no knowledge of this breakdown, and they in no way took responsibility for what happened. That is not leadership, and it's certainly not the kind of leadership we need right now. So when consciousness is low in leadership, the system reflects that. Communication gets sloppy, trust erodes, safety is diminished, and we stop treating people and decisions as sacred. So this breach is symbolic of a larger issue, a leadership culture that lacks self-awareness, it lacks foresight and ethical imagination. That is the real danger, not just what was shared, but how it was shared. It reflects this collapse of a leadership model that has been rooted for centuries in control and dominance and this insulation from feedback. And while this might sound extreme, this is the same leadership patterns that is showing up every day. It's showing up in our organizations, it's showing up in our institutions, and in our communities. It's in how we communicate and how we hold power. So when I say a breach in consciousness, I'm naming a deeper rupture, a failure to lead with humility, to lead from a place of wholeness and presencing for what this moment demands of us. But here's the opportunity. There's always an opportunity. In this opportunity, in the breakdown of this old, we're going to find raw materials for building the new. And this moment is calling forth a different kind of leader. You hear me talk about this almost in every article, in every video. But this is about the leaders we need now. And this is also the title of my upcoming masterclass on April the 8th, The Leaders We Need Now, where I will be taking you through what you need to know to be the leader for this moment and for the future. So if the paradigm of leadership is cracking, what is emerging in its place? A new kind of leadership, a new way of being, leadership that's not just a noun, but a verb that requires this inner process, a process of us letting go of the old way of doing things. We need leaders who are grounded in self-awareness, who are willing to meet their own shadows so they don't project them onto their teams, their movements. We need leaders who can practice relational intelligence, who are able to co-regulate, to listen deeply, to co-create and trust using emotional maturity. We need leaders who can see systems, who look beyond the symptoms to trace it to the deeper patterns and the root causes. Leaders who understand that everything is connected and every decision echoes through a wider web. And we need leaders with spiritual maturity, not in a religious sense, but in a sense of knowing thyself, of reverence, of recognizing that you're not the source, you're not the only source of change, but it's stored. And then we need leaders who hold a regenerative vision, who don't just aim to sustain what is, but to reimagine, to redesign for a world where everyone gets to thrive. These are evolutionary ideas and skills. And the future is asking for nothing less right now. These capacities of self-awareness, of spiritual maturity, being deeply self-reflective, relational depth, these things, they're not random. They form a coherent path, a structure, a map for evolution. And this is where I want to introduce you to a framework that I've been spending some time on putting together. This just distills these essential leadership qualities into an integrated evolutionary model. And it's one that I'm calling the Great Leadership Pyramid. So why pyramid? As I was putting this together, it just so happened to line up that way. And I thought back, because over thousands of years, the pyramids, they symbolize a sacred architect or architecture. And they were built with precision and intention and purpose. And so was this framework. This framework guides leaders through a structured ascent that will become the foundation to stand the test of time. Because it's not just about achieving success today, it's about creating the foundation for something that lives beyond you. And not just in the work that you do, but in the person that you are. So every layer of the pyramid builds on the one below it, from the foundation of um, recognizing and responsibility, personal integrity, self-reflection, self-inquiry, all the way up to the peak of self-actualization and self-mastery. It's multidimensional, right? It's not linear. And it becomes this living structure that leaders can return to again and again. So I'll take you through this during my masterclass. And another process that I'll introduce you to is to what I'm calling the new leadership archetypes. The leaders we need now do not fit into the old molds, right? Um, Leaders are not just decision makers or managers, they are architects of the future. They're building new patterns, new cultures, new ways of being in relationship with power and purpose and with each other, right? So some of you may resonate with what I'm calling the conscious archetype, the conscious architect. It's a leader who sees leadership as design, as an intentional construction of systems and stories that reflect this deeper value. You're not just disrupting systems without thinking about how do you replace it, how do you improve upon it, or you're creating a new system simultaneously as you're disrupting another one, right? You're attuned to the nuances. You sense the energy in the room, right? You read the room and you lead with this vision that's grounded in this deep awareness. The other archetype is the integrated leader, right? This is someone who has done the inner work. They don't separate strategy from their soul and their spirit or impact from integrity. They understand that how they show up is the culture that they create in that space. So these are just two examples of these new leadership archetypes that are emerging now. And, we'll go throughout the masterclass. You might start to recognize which one is most alive to you, which one you feel a resonance with, a remembering or a calling forward, right? And then later on during our time together, I'll guide you through the process to help you identify which one of those evolving leadership paths you're uniquely here to embody. So we have a choice here, friends. We can remain observers of our lives, watching the world shift around us, waiting for someone else to step in, or we can become active participants in the change we want to see in the world. And I want to be clear, even though I speak often about leadership, please don't assume that this masterclass isn't for you because maybe you don't hold a traditional title in leadership or you don't feel like you're a leader. That's exactly the mindset that we're really trying to move away from, because leadership is not about that. It's about how you move through the world, what you choose to tend to, and how you respond when life invites you to rise up. Everyone is a leader in some way, whether you're guiding a team or a classroom or a community or simply your own evolution. So your task is to identify your archetype and to find your lane, that unique path where your gifts and your growth and your impact align. And I'll be here to support you in discovering exactly what that looks like. So I look forward to seeing you on April the 8th. I'll have more information coming soon about how you can register for that. Until then, be well.